Welcome. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amy, would you take roll call, please?
Mrs. Talby?
Here.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Teetsor?
Here.
And we like to start our meetings with reading the mission statement. The Northwest Local School District will create a responsive learning community where all students are valued, challenged, and guided along a pathway to success. And I need a motion and a second to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Bruce?
I'm waiting. There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, tonight, we're going to finish out our acknowledgements of our student groups for the spring. So I'm going to introduce Lindsay Creasy, who's going to start the recognitions for Northern High School.
Good evening, everyone. So we're moving into part of the board meeting where we're recognizing our students for their achievements. And tonight we have Mr. Chad Halton back here from Northwest High School, who will be recognizing our athletic students. So today, I'd like to call him up. Afterwards, we'll have all the students come forward and shake hands, and then you're welcome to go outside. We'll take a photo, and then from there, you're welcome to dismiss.
Guys, good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening to help us recognize some of our best spring sport athletes. Our first group I'm going to ask our track coach, Coach Brian Miller, and his athletes to come up, please. While they're getting in place, I want to make mention that our boys track team have won the SWAC for 2 consecutive years. And for the second year in a row, Coach Miller was named Coach of the Year in the conference.
I'll try to slow down. I tend to read fast when I get a little nervous. The phone might shut off on me, so kind of bear with me here. I am honored to stand before you tonight as the head track and field coach of an incredible group of athletes, and I'm excited to celebrate their accomplishments with you tonight. To all the athletes in the room, each and every one of you deserve a round of applause for the dedication, discipline, and hard work that you've demonstrated through your craft and incredible progress and achievements that you've had throughout the seasons. As we look back on our track season, we have much to be proud of. The journey started with these 3 athletes back in November when they began training for the indoor track and field season. We had a few road trips together in the winter to Columbus 3 times, Mount St. Joe twice, and finished in Cleveland for the indoor state championship. It was at the indoor state championship when you're able to see their efforts come to life when Deasia finished 6th in the high jump and Malachi finished runner-up in the 60-meter hurdles. For Deasia, come on up, Deasia. Her main focus is high jump, but she also did compete in some hurdle events and ran a few relay teams throughout the year. Last year, I knew Deasia wanted more out of her freshman year after not advancing to the state championship, but her hard work during the offseason helped to take that to the next step this year. This year, Deasia finished 2nd in the high jump at the SWAC championship, 2nd at the district championship, 3rd in the region, and by the time it came around for the state championship, Deasia was feeling good and cleared her first 3 or 4 attempts without a fault, which helped earn her 5th place at the high jump in the state championship. Also, just this week, Deasia was named Honorable Mention All-City by the Enquirer for her efforts in high jump. Deasia Cotton. Next, we have Azaki Wampeti. He's another sophomore athlete to keep an eye on. Zaki mainly competed in long jump, the 400 and the 4x4. Zaki qualified for the state championship in the long jump, but had other successes in other events as well. Zaki won the SWAC championship and the district championship in the 400, and was a part of the district 4x4 championship that helped set a new district record. In the long jump, Zaki came in first place and broke the SWAC record, was second at districts, was first at regionals, and then Zaki advanced to the state championship in long jump, where he finished 13th. And just earlier this week, we found out that he was second team All-City by the Enquirer. Zaki Wampetti. And last but not certainly not least, Malachi Snow, senior Malachi Snow. Malachi is a special talent who embraces the grind and truly wants to improve on the little things. This year, Malachi broke 9 meet records and 2 school records. Of those 9 meet records, 2 were SWAC championship records in the 110 hurdles and the 200-meter dash. And 3 of those 9 were district records in the 110 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the 4x4. On top of that, Malachi now holds the Cincinnati's all-time fastest time in the 110-meter hurdles. He also helped lead the team to back-to-back conference championships, runner-up in the district, 6th in the region, and 10th in the state. He's also your district champion in the 110 hurdles, a district and regional champion in the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. Malachi went on to the state championship, where he had to overcome not 1 but 2 long storm delays during the course of that day. During the state championship, Malachi finished second in both the 110 and the 300s. His efforts throughout the year earned him the SWAC Athlete of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. And just earlier this week, we found out that he was also the Enquirer Runner of the Year and first team 110 hurdler and first team 110 hurdler and first team 300 hurdler. With all that being said, Malachi is going to continue his academic and athletic endeavors next year with a full scholarship ride to San Jose State University. I want to thank all 3 of you for your hard work, your dedication, your leadership you provided for the past year for the Northwest High School track and field team.
Congratulations. Good luck to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Your families as well, you all are free to dismiss after this, but you're welcome to stay as well. Right outside for a photo.
I'd say, obviously, to achieve that success, that is a tremendously hard-working group. I was down on the track Friday morning, and Malachi was down there working out already, trying to get ready to go to California. But an amazing group. Next, I'd like to bring up our softball coach, Rave, and his athletes.
Good evening. I'm Mark Rave. This was my 2nd year as softball coach at Northwest. We've made steady improvement the last 2 years. Last year we won 7 games my first year. This year we improved to 10 games, to winning 10 games. And a little known stat that probably not too many people know, but we definitely knew it was we played the most games, or tied for the most games played in the city with 27. So we played the maximum amount of games, which we took a lot of pride in. My 2 athletes that I'm going to introduce are actually my 2 captains as well from the softball team. The first girl, she was first team all SWAC. She led the SWAC conference in on-base percentage with the 674 on-base percentage, and was second in hitting with a 533 average. She was also this past Sunday named first team All-City by the Enquirer. Haley Swisshelm. And my other, once again, captain was our shortstop, real leader on the team, batted over 300 this year, led our team in triples, was second in runs scored with 26. She was second team All SWAC, and then this Sunday also she was named honorable mention All City by the Enquirer. Her name Annabelle Sickles. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Awesome season. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Again, a lot of work with this group. I'd have to go back and look because I wasn't here, but I think Coach Rave has taken us from, I think it might have been no wins or one win to 7 to 10, and we're trending in the right direction. He has these young ladies that they work year-round. They're always in the gym in the winter, so we're really moving that program in the right direction. Numbers are picking up where we're going to be able to move from one team like we've always had to probably 2 next year. So everything going in the right direction. The last coach I have here today is Coach Woostenholm and his baseball guys.
2 of the 3, yep. Thank you all for having us here tonight. This was my first year as the head baseball coach, but my 7th year with the program altogether. I'm also the offensive coordinator for football and the freshman basketball coach at Northwest as well, which I take pride in all of those. I appreciate it. Our season, as far as wins and losses go, probably didn't reflect the kind of team that we really were this year. We only won 5 games this year, but as opposed to last season before I took over, we only got run ruled 5 or 6 times this year compared to almost every game that we got run ruled last year. So we made vast improvement. Every coach that we played against, they said your team played hard and they play the right way, which is a huge, compliment to the boys, more than it is to me so much. But I have 2 of the 3 guys that were able to garnish honors this year. The one that's not here, he's a sophomore catcher, Braden Barnes. He was 2nd team All Southwest Ohio Conference as a sophomore, and the more that I looked at it, I started to realize that he was the only catcher honored either 1st or 2nd team in the whole conference. So in my mind, even though he was only 2nd team All Southwest Ohio Conference, he was still probably the best catcher in our league. So that's what it meant to me. The first player that I'd like to recognize, sophomore, center fielder, pitcher. He was awarded 2nd team All Southwest Ohio Conference. And like Coach Rave said, just found out this Sunday, I didn't even know that the Enquirer did a thing on their own. He was voted as honorable mention All City as a sophomore. He was 1 vote away from being 1st team All Southwest Ohio Conference. And like I said, this young man's a sophomore. He hit almost 380 this year, drove in 12 runs, stole 25 bases, and he was the starting pitcher on May 16th when we beat Goshen 5-2 in the state tournament for Northwest's first state tournament win since 2017. We were rewarded, though, by playing Moeller in the 2nd round. But unlike the 3 teams after us, they had to bat in the bottom of the 6th inning to beat us, where they didn't even have to bat in the 5th inning to beat the next 3 teams. So we pushed them a little bit further than some other people did, even though they won the state. So my first athlete is Ryan Fry. The next athlete that I'll talk about, I've been around him for 3 years, 2 years as varsity assistant, now my first year as a head coach and his final year. Mitchell's one of the student athletes that got cheated out of his freshman year due to the COVID year, which really stinks because I think if he'd have got the 4 years, I don't know all the school records and stuff like that, but I'm sure that he'd have been close to breaking most of them. He batted over 450 this year as a senior, drove in 19 runs, which was 3rd in our conference. His batting average was 2nd in our conference. He stole 24 bases. He won a game on the mound, and he came in the 7th inning in that state tournament game and closed it and allowed us, like I said, to win the first tournament game since 2017 at Northwest. Mitchell was first team Southwest Ohio Conference. He was one of only 2 athletes that even got votes for Player of the Year. Him and the kid that won it from Edgewood both received votes. Then at the Southwest Ohio Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Game, which he participated in the East-West All-Star Game, he was also voted by the Southwest Ohio Division I coaches as first team All-City through Southwest Ohio Baseball Coaches Association. And then I found out Sunday that he was voted as second team All-City by the Enquirer. Mitchell will be moving on, which is not good for me. I'm going to miss him a lot. He did a lot for us, and it's going to be hard to replace him, but he will be continuing his education and athletics at the University of Cumberland's down in Barberville, Kentucky, correct? So, and they just came off of, I do believe, about a 56-8 season or something like that, and lost in the NAIA College World Series. So he'll be down there, and I'm sure if he works as hard down there as he did for us the last 3 years, he'll be playing a lot, and you may hear a lot more from this kid in the future. Mitchell Graves. Thank you.
Good to see you again. Congratulations. Appreciate it. Congrats. Good to see you again. Congratulations. It's that chair has problems.
Yeah, that chair is
It's that old
cursed.
spot. Oh, man.
Let's give them one last round of applause.
That completes our recognitions.
All right. Very good. Student Achievement Liaison Report.
Okay. Well, we haven't had a whole lot going on recently, but we do have one student, Ryan Grosser, from Colerain High School and Butler Tech student, recently competed in the Skills USA National Competition in Atlanta, Georgia. Ryan competed in diesel equipment technology and came in 26th out of 53 students at the national level.
Awesome, thank you. Congrats to Ryan. Any Butler Tech updates today?
Matt took my Butler Tech update.
Aw.
Good, good, Matt.
You could say his name right.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all I have.
All right. All right, legislative updates?
Nicole, the big one is that House Bill 11, the backpack bill, and that's in committee. It's moving very slowly, but the effect on vouchers, and that's an area where a lot of people think children should have the choice, but yet they don't recognize what in fact that will do to public education in the community. So that's a tough one, but that's in committee, not much else happening.
All right, thank you. All right, any employee updates?
Not tonight.
All right, bless you. Community comments, we have one tonight, and just to remind you that we do allow community comments during our meeting, but it is not, is a meeting in public, but not a public discussion with the board, and each person is allowed 3 minutes. And Mr. McVeigh?
Some things to hand out to the board. Madam President,
Thank you.
over here. Pass them out. People in the audience who might want one, maybe you can see if some people want one. Madam President, I've heard the board speak on several occasions about their concern about attendance in the district and staffing levels. So I recently asked the district if they would present me with attendance data for each of the buildings in the district. So if you look at the chart in front of you, in the top block and the left side, that's the data that the district presented, and it's laid out by campuses or buildings. I simply took that data and computed an average over the time frame. So if you can look at it, example would be the Colerain Elementary, the average attendance was 92.3%. That corresponds to like 12.4 days missed or 93 hours missed. So that's the form I've used. So you can look down there and see the spread across the campuses for this last school year. Now, if you take your attention and move to the center block, what I've done is I've listed the Northwest Local School District student attendance guidelines, and you have those in your packet tonight, and you're going to vote on them. I would bring your attention to the excessive absence columns, and what you're saying for students is that first, regular attendance by all students is very important, and that 64 or more hours per year for excused or unexcused absences is excessive. So if you miss more than 65 hours, it's excessive. So if you look back at the top, clear to the right, you'll see that I've highlighted in pink the fact that the buildings in the campuses essentially are all showing excessive absence for the teachers. Now, if you look at the block at the bottom, I just went to the Ohio State website and pulled down the information for the district for 2017 through 2022. This year's data is not up there. And then I just looked at, in the teacher population, what percent of the population was excessively absent. I also looked at, I think, another good area, which was the number of days per year that people were absent, and importantly, for those people who were absent less than 3 days per year. That's been kind of a marker in my business career that if you're reliable, you're there most of the time and really don't miss more than 3 days per year. So you can see that we have some teachers who are very prompt. If you give me a couple more minutes, I'll finish. So we have some teachers who are, I would say, pretty reliable, 20% of them. But as you can see across the years, anywhere from 50% to 40%, or in one year there was 17%, were excessively absent. I don't know what the data would say why that's happening. That's something you need to look at. But I would say two things before I close. One is that I have to believe that these absences are having a negative impact on our students. The teacher is the most important person in their life or in school, and that person there is extremely important from an education standpoint and from a safety standpoint. Also, I think it is an issue for the people who have to fill in behind them. Because when you're not there, there are people who have to flow in behind you to make sure the work gets done. And many times that means that they don't get their work done, or they have to do their work and your work to make sure that your absence is covered. So I think this is the data, and I would ask that you spend some trying to figure out what is the basic cause. Why are we seeing excessive absences in our teacher? I'm sure there's some reasons. I mean, I'd be glad to sit down with some people and go through that with you if you thought that would be helpful. The other thing I would say is tonight you're going to approve, I think, 4 or 5 handbooks. One management handbook, one for the licensed and certified staff, and for classified staff and transportation. I looked at them pretty closely from an attendance standpoint because that's the subject that I'm talking about tonight. And if you get into that, I would think that you're going to find out that we apparently have some different standards between our students, our transportation staff, okay, and our classified staff and the rest of the teachers. The reason I say that,
Last comment, okay.
the reason I would say that is that there are specific expectations for students, transportation, and the commercial staff around attendance, and it's lacking for our teachers. I think it's a problem that you need to address. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, tonight for the consent items, we'll start with Human Resources.
Good evening. We seek your approval for the following: 14 resignations, 22 initial appointments, 3 change in status, and various supplemental items.
We're seeking your approval for an overnight field trip for the Colerain High School cheerleading to Miami University.
We also have donations tonight from Hillside Maintenance and the Murphy Supply Company for our current maintenance and custodial departments, a donation from Rumpke to Taylor Elementary, and Tri-State Foliage to Northwest High School. We have contracts for our non-public schools, special education services, and the graduation venue for Truist Arena at NKU. We also have a business item for accepting our general liability insurance renewal, as well as the handbooks for human resources and student services that were on the last agenda for information. With that, the superintendent recommends the approval of the consent items as listed.
Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? How did the hiring fair go? You could give us an update.
Sure. So we had 42 people who were interviewed. We have 13 pending hire right now, which is very exciting, and 37 total who we are considering for potential employment.
Great. Do you think that the summer we'll have another opportunity to do something like that? Oopsie. I did it
We already
again.
have 3 scheduled,
Sorry.
so.
Matt stole Jim's thunder, you're stealing mine, it's okay, we share the thunder
No,
at the end.
last time I did that again. Okay.
Yeah, we have 3 additional hiring events scheduled in early August.
Okay, great.
And then the ratio of our current openings to, how is that going? Are we,
Sure. So right
Closing the
now,
gap
in
on that.
terms of actual staffing, we're at 92.8% classified staff being filled, 96.6% of certificated being filled.
Great.
great.
Thank you.
And we'll let you go ahead and vote, and then
Yeah.
we'll pause.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you. Passes 5-0.
So we'll pause for a moment and introduce some of our new administrators for the district that have been approved or were approved tonight. So unable to be here at the last meeting, but was approved was Ms. Kristen Grody. So if you don't mind standing. Ms. Grody is the principal of White Oak now. She comes to us from Cincinnati Public, where she was principal of Silverton Elementary for the last 5 years. Prior to serving in Cincinnati Public, she was an assistant principal at both Oak Hills and Princeton High School, and she taught 9th and 10th grade English at Princeton. 11 years into her administrative journey, she now joins White Oak with a vision of the entire education timeline pre-K-12 in her background, and having served as a teacher, student, teacher, and principal in every grade level through the system. She received her bachelor's from Miami University, where she majored in integrated English and minored in French, received her master's from Xavier, and is the proud mother of 2 girls. And her husband, Greg, is a middle school math teacher. She grew up on the west side, and her claim to Northwest is that her mother went through White Oak and graduated from Colerain. So I'd like to introduce Kristen Grody. Anything you want to say, Kristen? Do you want to make a comment or not? You don't have to.
No, sure. I just want to say I'm really glad to be back here on the west side. It keeps coming for you, even when you walk away. Thrilled to be starting at White Oak and to dig in and do the work. Really excited to be back with some teenagers. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to spending more time getting to know each of you.
Welcome. We're glad to have you.
And then we'll go from there to Jay King. Jay is the assistant principal at White Oak now. Jay comes to us from Dayton, Ohio, and his passion for education and desire to make a positive difference led him to attend Bowling Green State University, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Education. Later joined Teach for America, a program that places talented individuals with underprivileged communities, where he taught for 7 years, and then later received his master's degree from Cleveland State University. His ultimate goal is to create a lasting impact on the community he serves through his unwavering dedication, innovation in technology method and teaching methods, and a deep-rooted belief in the potential of every individual. He strives to empower students and instill within them a lifelong love for learning. And beyond the classroom, he is actively engaged in community initiatives to uplift and empower the residents of Dayton, which he will soon do here. And we look forward to bringing Jay into our team. Congratulations, Jay.
Congratulations.
I would just like to say thank you. We have my lovely wife. She's a math teacher, so hopefully next year we can get her in the district as well. And this little cutie is my firstborn, Jalen. So we're glad to be here.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Welcome.
And we also have Miss Allison Driesbach, who is the new principal of Pleasant Run Middle School, was unable to be here with us tonight, but we'll bring her at an upcoming meeting so that she can be formally introduced as well. And then we have one more administrative announcement. We have Mr. Anthony Gaines, who is a new assistant principal at Northwest High School. He is a 26-year veteran in the field of education who believes failure is not an option and success is mandatory. He believes all students can learn, and they just learn differently. And it's important to meet the diverse learning needs of our students. He's a native of Cincinnati, a graduate of Mount Healthy and Morehead State University, where he earned a bachelor's in secondary education, concentration in English, and then a master's in adult education and counseling, and then a certification in instructional leadership. He pastors at United Community Christian Church and is married to Tyree Gaines, who's also an educator, and he has 5 children who have all graduated from Northwest High School. Wow. So we welcome Anthony. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you for this opportunity, and I am so excited to be doing the work. And as our principal says all the time, it's about the kids and it's about doing the work. So I'm excited to be on this team.
Great, thank you. So if we could have our 3 new administrative team members just come up and shake hands with the board.
Welcome Thought you were going to bring the baby. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah.
Go out. What did you graduate? 87. 85. Same time, yeah. We rubbed the hallways.
I tried.
Well, welcome and congratulations. We're always here. Anything we can do to help, be by the building, walk through, see how things are going. Any way we can support you guys in your roles and in your success, we're happy to do so. Congrats.
Yeah, welcome.
This evening, we have the fiscal consent items. We have our regular meeting minutes from June 5th. We have the financial reports from the month of May. Our all funds balance was $78.9 million. Our general fund unreserved balance is $48 million. Our revenues year-to-date are at $48 million, or at 97% for the year. And our expenditures are at $85.4 million, or at 90% for the year. Our investment weighted average returns is up to 3.89%. And our list of monthly bills are our routine monthly bills, as well as we had our the rest of our debt interest payments, some textbook purchases, Chromebooks. We purchased a van with a grant, some custodial supplies as we're gearing up for the summer cleaning, and some auxiliary and grant fund payments. Then we also have fund-to-fund transfers. So at the end of each year, we need to transfer funds from the general fund to our school's supply fee fund for our fee waivers. So with that, I ask the board to approve the fiscal consent items as listed. And I apologize, I
Amy, your time's up.
That's perfect timing.
I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
And a third? Third? She's fine.
All right. Any discussion or questions for Amy? All right, thank you. Passes 5-0.
Okay, and now it's fiscal year end, so we have our year-end items. First, I ask the board to advance and then approve the reversal of the advances when we roll into fiscal year '24 from the general fund to our grant funds for year-end negative balances. With grant funds, we have to spend the funds first and then ask for a drawdown. So we have this timing, where at the end of each year, we have some expenditures that we haven't been reimbursed for yet, because the state closes early, we're closing early, so it's just timing. So with that, I ask the board to approve the advance and reversal of the fiscal year '23 advances from the general fund to the grant funds as listed.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion, questions on that for Amy? Passes 5-0.
Next, we have our final permanent appropriations resolution. This is just to close the books. It's where we ended the year. And so I ask the board to approve the final permanent appropriations as listed.
And a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that for Amy? All right, passes 5-0.
And finally, so that we can start July 1 in our new fiscal year of '24, I ask the board to approve new funds for fiscal year '24. Most of them are grant or freshman classes coming into high school. As listed.
A motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that, new funds? This is 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
And for information, we have all of our building handbooks that come to the board every year. We've worked with our buildings to make sure there's tighter alignment between the buildings, so at each level. So you'll notice that when you look through these, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. These will come back in the next meeting for approval.
Gerald, we had talked some months ago about the pockets for the cell phones during school hours.
Yeah, the elementaries will not have cell phones. The middle schools are not permitting them. The high schools will not, the students will be able to have them, but not on their person. So they can have them, or they can have them on their person in the classroom. They're not using the pockets as a system for the whole buildings, but students will not be able to use them in class. They will be able to use them at lunch.
Do you really think that they're not going to not use them in class?
That's something that our buildings are confident that with our teachers, they'll be able to manage that, and if not, they'll refer them to the building. We actually added a few codes to the buildings so that we can disaggregate between a student who's using the cell phone in class or they're misusing it in terms of like bullying or intimidation or some social media piece. So we'll be clear with those expectations at the beginning of the year, and there will be consequences for those who don't follow.
And some teachers are using them in their classrooms. I've seen them in the classrooms, and the students walk in, they put them right in there. So I would think if it did become more of them not following, that would be an option.
And they're allowing the teachers to have their own system in the classroom. Some teachers have the pockets, some do not. But it's their system to make sure that the students keep it put away. But because of having one-to-one, they don't need the device during the classroom, but they will have it on their person.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Thanks for that update.
All right, and just a couple of updates.
Oops, sorry.
I'll talk quick. You actually stole one of them because it was a hiring event. So we did have a successful hiring event. And I wanted to thank Susan and the HR team, as well as a lot of our district administrators who showed up to help run the interview tables and actually do the interviews for the people who showed up, and to our credit union who was actually there grilling for people. So they not only got an interview, but they got a free lunch. So we appreciate that partnership. And we still have open positions, and there will be more information coming about future events, and people can always go to our website to see what we currently have available. As we talk about hiring, I want to just preface, we do this every year, and I want to make sure that we kind of on the front end answer questions, but we do have a board meeting on July 10th. It is a 7:30 a.m. board meeting. We do it every year on or around the 10th because legally that is the last day that teachers can resign from a previous district and be hired by our district. If we don't have that board meeting, we lose good candidates that we cannot hire because they are unable to be under contract with us, so they can resign from their previous district. So we are not trying to sneak anything through. It is only HR items. We do it every year. It's a 5-minute meeting just to make sure we can get those teachers through the door so they can resign from their current position. And then Amy went through things quickly tonight, but I want to take a moment and just call out and the treasurer's office. Amy, her leadership, her team, the entire finance office, year-end close is a huge process, and the amount of work that they put in to make it look this easy is a lot of times unnoticed and unrecognized, and I think it's commendable what they do, how they work collaboratively with our buildings, but it's a huge task and it deserves a little bit more recognition, in my opinion. So I just want to call out Amy and her entire team for what they've done.
You have a speech, Amy?
She's gonna kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering if, I know Chris isn't here, but any update on where the transportation office is with the rerouting and the new lines and how that's going?
Yeah, so they have most of the routes cleaned up. Right now, we're working with some of our more senior drivers to come in and drive the routes so that they can get their eyes on it, make sure that the stops work, make sure that the stops are in places that are safe, they're not behind a hill. And so they're cleaning that up and making sure that they get experienced drivers to give their feedback so they can finalize those. But it does look like there will be a reduction in the number of routes from last year into this year. So we should have a cleaner idea at our next meeting. So not the July 10th meeting, but the one after that. We can give an update on the transportation.
Okay, great. And then the redistricting piece too, that is all gone smoothly and,
Yep, so all the families were notified. Families that were legacy families that had a student going into 5th grade were able to stay at their building. We had some who chose to stay and then called us and said, you know what, I'm changed. So we've worked with them on those individual decisions. So yeah, that's all been cleaned up.
Great, thank you. Keeps doing that.
You're in a hurry.
No, it's this, it's used, I'm using this one. All right. Chris, board member comment?
I just wanted to congratulate all of our athletes tonight, our new hires. Wish you well in your new positions, and to be a state semifinalist or even coming 13th in the state is just tremendous in a big state like Ohio. I mean, if you were in a small rural state, that's one thing, but in Ohio, it's so competitive. So congratulate all those athletes and welcome to you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate you guys for coming here to our district and working. It's a great district as a former graduate. Like Nicole said, if you guys need anything, just call us up, see if we can ever help with anything. And then congratulate our students. Mr. Snow is going to be pretty good in college, going out to San Jose State. It's a pretty good school for track, and hopefully he can progress and do well.
Yeah, I think we'll hear his name more. Actually, we'll hear all of their names more, I'm sure.
Yep.
Matt?
Yes, I'd like to also add my congratulations to the student athletes from Northwest High School this evening. And what awesome accomplishments that they've, able to attain. And welcome and congratulations to Kristen Grody, Jay King, Allison Driesbach, Anthony Gaines, and welcome, and hope to see good things at their, building level. And I was at the Colerain Chamber of Commerce Hometown Hero event last week, and one of the persons honored for Hometown Hero was Diane Egbers. She's the founder of Grant Us Hope, which is a part of Hope Squad, which is a program that's at our Colerain and Northwest campuses. So I was, really pleased to meet her and appreciative of her efforts and the fact that we were able to bring the Hope Squad. I think we first ran into the Hope Squad at the Ohio School Board Association conference 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And,
this last one.
Right, and so, excited that we have that program here, and that's all I have. Thank you.
I just want to extend a welcome to you folks. Our athletes, one of the things I enjoy the most is listening to the coaches. They spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours with these kids. And if anybody knows them, they know them. The good, the bad, and the ugly to them. And they certainly deserve more attention than what they get. I can't remember the gentleman's name that was the baseball coach for Northwest. He does four sports. He's not home at all. He's not home at all. And I also want to thank Anthony for stepping into your position. There's usually every other board meeting we have something where you got your fingerprints on it. And if you're half as successful at this new role as you are as educating our kids, we're in great hands, especially with Nadia Hall. So I'm looking forward to that team there. That's going to be exciting.
All right. Just echoing what everyone else said, congratulations to all of our athletes. I love anytime we can bring the students in and recognize them. They work so hard, and the coaches as well. And just what everyone else said, welcome. Can't wait to see what you guys do at White Oak and continued successes at Northwest as well. And just, our next meeting will be in the morning, but still positions available if anyone's looking. So, thank you. And
Then for executive session, the board will move into executive session, discuss the evaluation of the treasurer. Superintendent recommends that the board approve the motion to move into executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
And just a reminder that we will go to executive session. When we return, there will be no further business except for to adjourn the meeting, so no one required to stay.